Hello and welcome to the podcast that asks a simple question. When you kept doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, what the hell were you thinking? I'm your host, Dave Bledsoe, and this is the Saturday, September 12, 2015, 19th Nervous Shutdown edition of the show, where we're going to talk about the chance of the Republicans shutting down the government. Again. Stay tuned. The What the Hell Are You Thinking podcast is brought to you this week by Cruz's Deja Vu, where everything old is new. If you have an outdated dogma, a tired trope, or a demonstrably wrong idea, bring it to Cruz's Deja Vu and we'll make it new again. Whether it's the 3/5 rule, Plessy versus Ferguson, all the way up to WNDs in Iraq, if it's wrong and conservative, Cruz's Deja Vu will make it new and push it through. If you would like to sponsor the show, call up Cruz's Deja Vu with your bad idea. They can sell it to a credulous base and trade it for pointless political points, just like I do on this show.
This is tequila, right? Hey, wait, where's the worm?
The worm's right there, ain't she?
I'm a weasel.
A weasel, eh?
Yeah.
You wanna be a man, weasel? You wanna be a man, is he?
To drink like an hombre.
That's
No,
right,
I can't.
is he?
No, I'm not.
showing us
I'm going to play
disrespect,
foosball.
bro?
You guys
Drink
up.
up. That's disrespectful, weasel. Be a man, is he? Come on, drink it up. Let's go. Drink like a man, is he? You can do it, is he?
Bottoms up, eh?
You can do it, weasel.
Ándale.
Come on, is he?
Okay, stop.
Five more, man.
Weasel, 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 and weasel, 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 and weasel, and weasel. Weasel, weasel.
Wait, stop. Dude, do I have to pay for him?
Huge thanks to Morgan Graham for reminding me of Pauly Shore during the Weasel. I can't believe I forgot that. That's why it's important as a podcaster to have friends, even if they never listen to the show, which most of you don't. I know who's not. I know it's all of you. Ted Cruz, an anthropomorphic weasel that was somehow elected by Texas to the United States Senate, wants you to trust him. He promises this time things will be different. This time there will be no surrender, no defeat, and no retreat. This time he promises he will Conan Congress.
Wrong! Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Obviously Conan the Barbarian, not Conan O'Brien. No, you see, Ted and the rabid right wing of the Republicans will cut all federal funding to Planned Parenthood for their perfidious crimes of selling dead babies to Chinese merchants, where they're using them to make super soldiers in a cloning experiment. Ted's excellent misadventure, needless to say, is not popular with the Republican leadership. Many of them are quite clear on the point when they speak to Mr. Cruz.
You, sir, are an idiot.
None of this, however, will stop Cruz and his weasel caucus from planning to throw their shoes in the looms of government. Nothing? No one? No one even... Okay, the term sabotage comes from the French word sabot, which means shoes, and back in the, 1700s, workers would toss these wooden shoes in powered looms to shut them down, and that's where we get the word sabotage. God, you try and bring a little education into a podcast. Okay, fine. A certain portion of the conservative base, by which we mean the portion that votes in the early primaries, are
Very angry.
that Planned Parenthood even exist because God did not intend women to have affordable health care. This is why he gave them a vagina that goes inside where no one can see. They are furthermore
Very angry indeed.
that Planned Parenthood has been selling off dismembered fetus corpses to butcher shops around the world. And by butcher shops, I mean they're talking about research labs, and by selling off, we mean charging a modest fee to ship fetal tissue samples to the research labs where they do incredibly important life-saving work. And it's all completely legal. The stoat in a body condom that is Ted Cruz, however, has whipped the base into a lather after videos so heavily edited they make a Kim Kardashian sex tape look spontaneous. These videos hit the web, and in them a few Planned Parenthood doctors discuss procedures in a tone that could be, in the most charitably construed, bored, instead of actually immolating themselves for their sins. Cruz says that if Congress does not completely and utterly defund Planned Parenthood, he's going to shut down the government again. Meanwhile, over in the Senate, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Cecil the Turtle body double.
Time's a-wasting, Speedy.
What, you don't think I won't rip off Jon Stewart? Of course I will. Get real. No. Cecil, who may be slow, he can still do math, and he knows how this plays out, especially since the GOP's shutdown of 2013, where the party came across with the sense of poise, of grace, and gravitas of a drunk frat boy shitting on the table of a 5-star restaurant. Republican leadership knows a shutdown merely makes the entire party look like fucking idiots to 55% of America, or merely incompetent to 30% more, and like big fucking heroes to the remaining 15%, or what we like to call the aforementioned base. It's a lose-lose for the Republicans, and only those with a vested interest in fecal-covered tablecloths stand to gain from a shutdown. Thus, we come to noted table shitter Ted Cruz. He's kinda like Templeton the Rat from Charlotte's Web at that scene at the fair where Wilbur goes and wins a prize.
The goose was right. This fair is a rat's paradise. Bye-bye, my humble Wilbur. Fare thee well, Charlotte, you old schemer. This will be a night to remember.
Except with he doesn't have any of Templeton's redeeming qualities or the charming voice of Paul Lynde. No, what he's gorging on are the leavings from Trump Fest, which right now consist of 3 breadcrumbs and something that could be an orange peel or dead skin. It doesn't really matter. It's disgusting. No, he's working a shutdown not from his deep commitment to protecting unborn children, because Cruz is actually more of something that would eat unborn children.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is abuse.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Because what Cruz is doing is angling for a piece of the shattered Trump run when it finally blows out, or if it doesn't, he wants to be Trump's vice president.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
One, and trust me, it's just one of so many reasons Cruz is just plain fucking hated. And not just by liberals like myself, but his own party is this political grandstanding on such a grotesque level that it makes Mike Huckabee seem like John Hoyven. I'm tempted just to walk away and make you look that one up on your own, but I'm better than that. I'm a podcast host. It's my job to teach you. John Hoyven is, and I don't know if I pronounced his name right, and who cares. He's a senator from South Dakota who I've never heard of. And for a senator, that says a lot. No, there isn't pretty much a senator in the Senate that would cross the street to piss on Cruz if we were on fire. But in the House, however, the Tea Party circle jerk needs a pivot man, and Ted is just one hell of a swivel. And for those of you keeping score on the home game, that's like the 14th or 15th time I've insulted Senator Cruz during this podcast. And that is nothing to be when it's compared to how bad Cecil and the Tan feel for him.
Chico, don't be discouraged. The man, he ain't so hard to understand. Chico, if you try now, I know that you can lend a helping hand.
Did I just do that entire rant just to get to the point where I could play the theme from Chico and the Man? Of course I did. Have you ever listened to this podcast before? I mean, it would be one thing if Cruz weren't really smart, because he's actually brilliant. And it hurts me to say that because it sounds as though I just said something nice about him. But I didn't. You see, because being brilliant makes Cruz the worst sort of huckster out there. The kind who does incredibly asinine things out of cold calculation and malice. He understands the slack-jawed mouth breathers. constitute the Republican base and uses their profound stupidity to shore up his own political power. Indeed, if the world could harness the power of their stupid, we could reverse 2 centuries of global warming on the pure, clean, burning jolt of their idiocy. Hell, we could double the output of that idiocy just by telling them that we were doing it and use it to send a mission to Mars, just like a laser shot from the... Never mind. Probably being entirely unfair to blame Cruz by himself for the shutdown. He's just a ferret trapped inside a sausage casing trying to make a run for president. It's the House of Representatives that's to blame for this upcoming shutdown shit show. The House Tea Party caucus calls for a shutdown more often than a Microsoft tech on a support call. And they would be happy to shut it down and never, ever restart because they live in a fantasy world where the government is best compared to nipples on a man. Useless and embarrassing because they find the word nipple dirty. Also, they suffer from a fundamental lack of imagination that comes with being incredibly stupid. This latest faux outrage, the outrage is real enough. It's always real. That's the problem. But the problem that's causing the outrage, that's the faux. And it's perhaps even more spurious than the 999th attempt to repeal Obamacare. Conservatives despise Planned Parenthood with a peculiar fury because they made it just about the only place to get a safe, legal abortion in huge swaths of the country. They also have the temerity to dispense low-cost slut pill prescriptions to women who would otherwise be docile, obedient, pregnant, God-fearing members of society, right up until the time they shit out their 4th bastard. It's funny how when black or Latino women have children out of wedlock, they're welfare queens ripping off the hard-working white people who pay off the taxes. When it's Lurleen, who's just had her 5th child by her 6th different man, well, that's just a family situation that we should all ignore and pretend didn't happen. No, the problem for the party is they took control of Congress in 2014, and some amongst them thought, at last, we have a chance to lead, an opportunity to show the American people what we're capable of providing real ideas on the governance of this country. And they've demonstrated their only real ability is to walk around in circles like Marvin the paranoid android in the swamps of Scornelish Zeta.
Not that there is anyone here to ask me, so I'll just keep walking around in this very tiny circle for a few hundred years more until my power cells give out.
Hello, robot.
Hello, mattress.
A lot of you don't get that, but that was a brilliant analogy. Our friends on the right have had exactly 0 new ideas. The last time they had anything like one was in the late 70s and early 80s when they introduced us all to supply-side economics, or Reaganomics. An interesting idea that if we just give the rich all of our money, maybe some of it will drop out of their pockets for the rest of us. And then see everyone profits. You also might know it as trickle-down economics.
I say, sir, you seem to be peeing upon my leg.
Huh? What's all this?
Good sir, you seem to be peeing upon my leg.
Huh? Well, it seems to me that your leg's in the way of my pee stream.
The ensuing 30 years of wage stagnation, massive wealth imbalance, exorbitant government deficits, which somehow keep being blamed on the Democrats, whom, oddly enough, were the only ones to ever pay it down, would prove this idea doesn't work, but the Republicans still hold it up as their only plan. Shit, Kansas turned itself into the supply-side paradise and is now facing up to the reality that charging no taxes and hoping the money magically appears.
There's no basis for a system of government.
And yet, somehow they continue to hope that miraculously it will be. This is the crux of conservative thinking. Never have a new idea. Keep doing things the same way and hope that maybe this time it turns out differently. In the conservative mind, there exists this utopian time in history where everything was perfect, everyone was happy, and most importantly, everyone knew their place and stayed in it. As near as I can figure, it existed at exactly 8:17 p.m. Friday, June 19th, 1953, the moment after the execution of Ethel Rosenberg. To the conservative mind, this was the high water mark of American culture and where we need to get back to if we're ever going to make America great again. Trademark. Since we're doing a clip show here on the Hill, here's how the shutdown will actually play out. September 30th, the funding will run out. The Tea Party caucus will jam the gears of the funding bill with language stripping funding for Planned Parenthood and probably outlawing fire as too progressive. The House leadership will try to talk them out of it, and the Teeps will reply with their usual,
"Go fuck yourself.
Go 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 fuck yourselves.
Ah, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Oi. Fuck! Did you just say go fuck myself?
Go fuck yourself, Mr. King. You gotta figure out what to do with all of the debris.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Okay.
The Tan will smoke and probably cry a little. Then the bill will pass on a strictly partisan vote and go to the Senate, who will look at it as though someone FedExed a turd address from Rafael Cruz. The leadership will go to Rafael and go, "Dude, what the fuck?" And Rafael will say,
I'm so angry, I feel like swearing.
Oh, Murray, you wouldn't swear at us.
Go fuck yourself, prick.
The Democrats will take one look and just say, "Oh, hell no." And then the government will shut down. The news cycle will run footage from 2013. Offices will close, government employees will work without paychecks, and some people will be angry. The Teepers will say they don't care, and Cruz will come across with a sort of smarmy expression you just want to hit with a brick. The leadership in both houses will flounder and try to placate everyone, while the Democrats just sit back and smile. Trump will say he could fix it. Huckabee will call for Jesus to smite the Democrats, and Fox News will enjoy a ratings bump. Overall, life will go on. After a few days, the Teeps will be offered something they want in exchange for just shutting the fuck up for a few minutes, probably along the lines of a Planned Parenthood is ran by the devil, or Obama's the Antichrist, which will allow them to claim victory. A continuing resolution will pass both houses, keeping funding at the same level as it has been for basically the last 4 years. The Democrats will say they won. The president will say he won. The leadership will say they won, which is okay, because really the only losers will be the American public, who will have to pick up the tab for a massively expensive government shutdown and its subsequent restart. So it goes. And the whole reason this will happen is Republicans understand the American public has the memory of a goldfish. When it comes time to vote next year, the press will talk about this shutdown, if it happens, and there's still a possibility of reason, although the hope of which is in itself unreasonable. The public will blink and say,
faux?
And then vote for the same idiots who created this mess on the first place. And that's on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. The only winner in this is our friend from the top of the show, the weasel in a flesh-colored leisure suit we all know as Rafael, Ted Cruz, who's basically orchestrated the entire thing to further his own agenda, which I'm still not exactly sure what his endgame is. There's no conceivable scenario in which he does win the nomination, and if he did, the odds of him actually being president are roughly the same as Sarah Palin winning the Nobel Prize in Economics for her groundbreaking new snowmobile financing strategy. The best Ted can possibly get is a Veep slot, which is probably what he's angling for. He gets the Veep for whomever the Republicans pick in a post-Trump fallout. And a post-Trump fallout basically involves Trump zombies shuffling around the country, feasting on the flesh, and creating new generations of orange comb-over covered automatons. Cruz will then gather the survivors and hit the road in an RV with Heb's campaign banner on the side, where he gets to rally the tepid base for someone that's basically Romney Mark III, and then Hillary becomes president.
Then God help us all.
All this does is prove two things. It doesn't matter what we do, our government is fucked. The system is fucked up. I'm surprised it functions at all, and probably that says something about how human beings can really just keep shit rolling along just fine without a government until something bad happens. Then we put our fucked up government as sort of an insurance policy, and like most insurance policies, it will do as little as possible for as long as possible until it has to act. And the auspicious anniversary that we just passed should prove that. Second, Rafael Ted Cruz is just a shitty little asshole. The furtive little ferret who shimmies up your pants legs and bites you right on the nuts the moment you take your eyes off of him. If you happen to see a suspicious bulge in your pants leg, that's Raphael coming for you. Right now, John Boehner is vigorously whacking himself in the nuts, just trying to get him out of there, which is the only reward we're likely to get out of this whole pathetic situation. This little petulant polecat, and I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel here for weasel references, he needs to fight dirtier than any other nomination candidate. He can't out-Trump Trump, who holds a black belt in batshit. He can't out-God Mike Huckabee. I mean, he showed up to bust Kim Davis out of jail only to find Huck and Kim shaking their groove thing to Eye of the Tiger. He's not even a political outsider like Dr. Ben Carson. God, Ben, really? You're a smart guy. You're a fucking neurosurgeon. How can you say these really stupid things? Well, I'm coming for you, Ben. There's going to be a whole show devoted to that. Sadly, Rafe, can we call him Rafe? It just really sounds something that you would name an ermine. See, that was the last weasel reference I could find. No, what Rafe has left us, it's his strength. And that strength is unparalleled dickishness. And it's something that no one in Washington, and perhaps the entire country, can touch. He's the most unrepentant dickhead since, I can't really think of anyone. I know of bigger crooks or criminals or even crackpots, just even bigger plain old assholes. But as far as dickheads go, Rafael Theodore Cruz, you are the one.
Support for this podcast comes from Microsoft Teams. The world has changed, and Microsoft Teams is there to help us stay connected. Teams is the safe and secure way to chat, meet, call, and collaborate. To learn more, visit Microsoft.com/Teams.
Support for this podcast comes from Goldman Sachs. What do Goldman Sachs experts and leading thinkers have to say about trends shaping markets, industries, and the global economy? Stay informed with the latest insights from Goldman Sachs on the economic and market implications of COVID-19. Available on our podcasts at gs.com/COVID-19 or any of your favorite podcast platforms.
That is it for the show this week. We thank the band Hypnostate, as always, for the show music and the opening credits, and we thank you, dear listener, for listening. If you are just stumbling upon the show, perhaps you've passed out drunk and someone has sneaked up on you and plugged some iPhone head to, I don't know, whatever. If you've never heard, if you don't know how you got there, you have to know. It never makes any sense to say this. Never mind, I'm just going to stop. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher, where you should definitely leave us a review because that helps inflict the show on other unsuspecting victims, just like the mugger that put the headphones in your ear, which is why you're listening to us now. You can follow us on Twitter at @thehell_podcast. You can find us on Facebook, and you can find all the shows at www.whatthehellpodcast.com. For me, Dave Bledsoe, and all the other fictional persons on this show, thanks for listening. And we'd like to remind you that while you don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles. If you're Congress and the Republicans, it's the only way you're going to get any place at all. Otherwise, you just stand there and masturbate. We suggest you using Ted Cruz as a pivot man. See you guys next week.
Everything. gas runs out, just wreck it and you insured the thing. I don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk